I was a marketing manager for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years. And I had an executive role within this company. So I'm going to walk through with you a day in the life. For anyone that's maybe interested in pursuing a career in the corporate world, or just a career in marketing in general, or business, I can give you a little bit of an insight, at least from my perspective. Here we go. First off, there are lots of meetings. I think that's just the reality. As you move up in a company, you get more and more meetings. The higher up your position, the more meetings you have. Because you have a lot of different campaigns that you have to manage as a marketer. So as marketing manager, typically the starting of the day would be usually either a combination of checking emails before a meeting or going to a morning meeting to discuss plans for the day. Usually the meeting would be about 15-20 minutes, and then you would just cover what you're going to be doing for the day, and then kind of like maybe some rough goals. Usually you'd sit down with your team and just do like a round table. You could call it a scrum, where everyone kind of stands up and does it, or everyone's sitting down and talking. Maybe there's some fires that need to be put out, so you have that discussion among your team. So that's usually about 15-20 minutes for that meeting. Sometimes it can go longer. If something's really critical, then you'll have a longer discussion. Ideally, though, if you can keep it on point, that'll be really important for everyone's time. Because think about it, if you have a bunch of people sitting around talking, that's more time taken away from someone's schedule to get something done. So definitely having a bit of an agenda is important, and we usually try to aim for that with some of the kind of rough to-dos that we had from a previous day. And then after that, it will be back to reviewing some of the emails, reviewing campaigns. Typically, we were running a number of different platforms to manage campaigns. We had CRMs, we had social media management software, we had different companies that we paid to actually handle a lot of the different projects. So at least in my case, I was managing a number of different companies, especially when we were doing the website redesign. So I had the opportunity to manage a marketing agency that we outsourced. So I had that opportunity to work with them and keep on track in terms of development and project management, getting it done on time and efficiently. So that was definitely a big portion of my day when that was taking place. A lot of other things would be related to improving experiences. And you might not think that that's related to marketing, but I believe that the product experience is very much related to marketing, because that makes sales easier. It makes the job of the sales team easier. When the product experience is seamless, then everything is flowing smoothly. And that's also an impression. You see, that's a touch point for the customer. The customer will look at perhaps onboarding and how is that? How is it easy to work with the company? So if you can make onboarding easy, if you can make the whole experience easier and seamless, then that's actually a really nice marketing leverage piece. So I looked at a lot of technologies to try to optimize those areas and make it more efficient for the company. And it could be anything from digitization of old school documents to improving on the proposal template that would go out to prospects for the sales team. So I worked really closely with the sales team to improve on some of the processes that maybe were slowing down their sales journey. Because you want it really easy for the salesperson to tackle projects. So I would definitely be very much process driven and improving on what kind of activities could help move the needle. So almost like a sales support function there. Because I think it's really important that sales and marketing work closely together. That's how you get more sales. Because marketing is like the front door. Sales is the capture mechanism to take those leads and take them to the promised land. So by having marketing and sales working together, you have a more seamless transition from lead capture to closing the deal. I think that's a really important discussion that maybe a lot of sales and marketing teams don't work together very closely. I was actually in another job where sales and marketing were completely separate, and you could tell it was disjointed. And I think having the cross-pollination, same room kind of activity is really important. And a lot of the time, I was working right next to the sales team in this role as marketing manager. There was actually probably about 6 months to a year where I was working with the IT department, because that was part of the web development. We were trying to get the new website going. So I was responsible for a lot of the content management, and I needed to work with IT to help with some of the development pieces from the old site to the new. And all of that was really important, having that discussion with IT. So that was a big portion. What else is there? Well, there might be a newsletter campaign that needs to go out. So typically I'll source material from a number of different groups. Might be sales, might be our consulting team. So I'll gather as much information as possible to put into a newsletter. And that would go out as like an education piece. And I would use MailChimp, and then later on use Pardot, which is part of Salesforce, to send out the emails. Also, we had an RSS type email newsletter that would go out, and that would be related to any of the blog posts that we created on the website. So the email marketing system would capture all of the blog posts and share them out as kind of like a RSS type newsletter. So that was a big piece. Email marketing took up a lot of my time in terms of creating the emails, doing the reporting, because that was something where we had a massive list of 60,000 plus people. So we wanted to tackle how we could nurture these 60,000 plus people to either talk about us more or convert or, do something with us in terms of business. So a lot of that was related to my role. Another big piece is reporting. I spent a lot of time on spreadsheets, analyzing data, trying to improve website speed, trying to optimize all the different marketing numbers, revenue numbers based on marketing. So all the different pieces, leads generated, that is all very important. Time on website. So that is what I spent a lot of time on as well. And reporting is something that I believe is critical today. And it's probably, actually it has evolved much more so than when I was doing this 3-4 years ago. Because data is what drives your decisions and your campaigns and what campaigns to close off and what to start with. And I believe that everything is driven by data. We were doing some direct marketing pieces and just using it as brand awareness, and we weren't actually tracking the data until a little bit later. So I would create some branded materials for a newsletter campaign, like a direct mail campaign. So we would send out to local businesses these little brochures, and I was responsible for creating those as well in my day. And at first, we were not tracking results other than, oh, you call us, we'll come and answer. But then we implemented call tracking so we could actually find out how many conversions we could get from the direct mail. So anyone that's doing direct mail should probably have some sort of ID or phone number where they can track the results. Otherwise, you're just spending money and you don't know what the results are. So that's all very important. And then it all connects to the CRM. A lot of what I was doing was trying to connect pieces to the CRM, which is where we manage potential customers and also current customers. So we're building all of that, and that process is really important. What else did I do? A lot of branding as well. We did a rebrand for the company, so I was actually responsible for the whole corporate rebrand. A lot of marketing managers probably wouldn't have to deal with branding so much because usually you have a design team. You would have maybe somebody who takes care of all the brand assets, but there is a case where you could be the person that takes care of the rebrand, and that was my situation there. Another piece would be company meetings as well. So not every day, but maybe every week there'd be like a company meeting where we'd all get together and we would talk about wins. Goals are very important. So there's always like a quarterly objective that we're working towards, and you'd want to work towards that quarterly goal. And I was responsible for quarterly goals. Usually every quarter there'd be something that I'd be responsible for, whether it's getting customer feedback or trying to finish a website within this time frame. So we'd be looking at quarterly goals. Also, we have monthly metrics. So monthly metrics that are like KPIs, key performance indicators, a lot of different acronyms for these kinds of things. But we track this on a spreadsheet. And at the end of the day, there's the budget as well. So are we spending in an appropriate manner? Are we getting our returns on our spend? So all this was really critical. And we're looking at marketing spend every year, but then also digging down into it every month to look at how the campaigns were doing. And then I'd have some meetings perhaps with companies that were handling some of our advertising, such as our online advertising. So I would actually be talking to them and looking at the results and looking at how they could be improved. So I would have those discussions as well. And a day in the life probably would consist of most of what I said. And if it didn't happen on a day-to-day basis, it would be weekly or monthly. But pretty much that's it. That's what would be covered in terms of a day in the life of the marketing manager. A lot of things kind of fly by really quick. A lot of different variety to the role. And there's always something new. There's always something new and exciting to work on. So I think anyone that's looking for kind of that area of marketing, I think it's a great piece. You'll typically start off as a entry-level marketer before you become the marketing manager. Unless you go into a smaller company, then you'll have that role where you're in charge of all these different pieces. But yeah, you might start off as maybe a marketing coordinator, work your way up, but it depends on how big your team is. Now, I was a team of one as the marketing manager, so I was responsible for North American marketing for the entire company. But then I had about 15 to 20 salespeople that I would maybe work with. I'd work with customer service, so I'd have discussions with different teams. I'd be working with IT So there's a lot of collaborating. Not an isolated position. No, not at all. Actually, you're best not to be isolated. You're best to be having conversations with the company because they have the pulse on the customers. So they understand what works with the customers. So you want to have that dialogue. Even better if you can interact with customers. I had some interactions with customers, some meetings, just to get an idea. I think it would have been more beneficial to have more customer meetings, an opportunity that I could have definitely pursued, because that's going to help with understanding the marketing that needs to happen to promote different services and products down the road. You see, I don't think marketing is about pushing too much or being too salesy. I think it's about educating and informing and helping. I think that's what marketing is really about. So having the conversations with customers helps to gather information as to what they want. So as a marketer, you can deliver that information. That's really important because you don't want to be giving a sales pitch like, "Ooh, we have a sale on today." I mean, that works if you're trying to push clothing and whatnot, but what's even more powerful is if you can create some stories around your brand and stories that maybe resonate with customers. And usually it's all about the human touch. It's all about the human touch. After you've optimized the digital, now it's about having the conversations with clients, with new potential prospects and whatnot. Having that quality dialogue is what will really help. But that's, in a nutshell, all the different little activities. And again, it'll depend on which company you work for. Not every company is the same. So it really depends on your position, your size of the company, your experience. If you have a VP of marketing who you report to, I was reporting to the CEO, so it's a little different. But you'll have a lot of different projects that will keep you busy for a long time if you let it, because there's the creativity aspect, there's the business aspect, there's a lot of different pieces, and you have to keep up with the learning. You can spend as much time as you want. Work will always be there because marketing is about getting the company to a level of success and then continuing to grow from there and continuing to improve and improve and improve. So there's definitely a lot to marketing management. And there's so much fun to it though. And if you get a chance to be in the role, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have fun with it. Because obviously if you're going in this route, then you like marketing. You like creativity, you like business. Because I think those aspects are part of it. And try to make it fun. Try to take on projects. That's all I can say about that. I loved taking on maybe more projects than I should have. And I think it's really fun. But at the end of the day, execution matters. Results matter. Are your campaigns performing? Are you getting the jobs done ahead of deadline or at least by the deadline? It's all very important. So having a calendar, managing it, scheduling it, it's very important. Scheduling your meetings, making sure that your time is also valued so that when you go into a meeting that there's some meat to it. Another piece that I did dabble in as well was implementing new software and then training on it. So I would perhaps sit down with some people and actually train on new software. And that happens every now and then. Maybe every month there might be a new software piece that we'd implement, and I would be responsible for training others on the software. So I think that's another aspect. Now, I really like the education aspect. And I like helping others grow. Yeah, there's something about it that's quite rewarding, and it's actually been really exciting at that time while I was at that company to see others grow. And I wish I had done it more. I think that's what I regret after leaving there, is that I could have spent more time to help others grow, to help a team, help cultivate a team that I could really be proud of, because I was always just a one-man show. But it was good to see my collaborations helping other departments, and also having the personality and the presence. I think a lot of people just liked me, and I was just a genuine person. So having conversations with people is really great. Oh, another piece is taking lunch time to connect with others in the company. I think is really important. Don't take your lunch by your desk. Take it in the lunchroom. That's all I can say. Try to have a connection with people, because then they'll open up to you and they'll tell you things that they wouldn't have told you if you had lived behind your desk. So I think the human connection is more important than ever before. Seeing what everyone's up to, because that's really important. So I did make an effort to sit down, have the conversations with people. And that just helped me get an idea for what was kind of going on. Because there's always sort of an underlying mission. I mean, I can eat lunch by myself, but that doesn't really benefit me, doesn't help me grow. So by learning from others, I can grow. And then by teaching others, I can learn my material better. So there's a lot to that. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I think I've covered everything. Yeah. That's pretty much a day in the life of a marketing manager, in case you were curious. And if you wonder why I left, well, I left because for a number of reasons. But the big reason was I wanted to get into entrepreneurship. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I left on very good terms. I could have kept going, but after a couple of years, you decide you want to challenge yourself in a new way. And you get that feeling. It doesn't matter where I'm at. If I'm in, I was in a retail job for 5 years, and by the time I was in my 4th or 5th year, I got the feeling that it was time for me to get out. And I did. I left on good terms. Because you never want to feel like you're in stagnation. So that's the thing about a job. You could get into stagnation. And as a marketing manager, you might end up doing campaigns that you've been doing over and over again, and then it gets dull, and then you might want to get out. And that's okay. You go to another company, you have new problems to solve. That's exciting. It adds a fresh perspective to things. I left that company, and then a couple of years later, I did join another company and worked on some problems there, helped fix some things, and I realized, well, my health was kind of affecting me. But then also, it was time to also get out of that as well. Because I want to go in and help companies. I want to go in, solve problems, and then leave. I don't want to spend years and years, because that's just not my thing. I like going in, solving problems, and then getting out. Sort of like in a consulting capacity in a sense, but I was usually a full-time employee because I can get deep on problems and really make an impact. Like long-term change. Structural things that could last for a long time, whether it be website development, implementing new website, new branding, new digital technologies, all of that lives on for a long time. So going in and implementing those pieces is important. And as a marketing manager, I think you do not want to stagnate. Marketing, and especially if you're a chief marketing officer, the turnover of a C-suite executive is the highest if you are chief marketing officer. they only average like 18 months in their roles. So that's a really interesting fact. Marketing has that high turnover because performance is highly based on campaign results, and a lot of marketers do not track their results. They don't. They do not track success. They don't track important revenue details. I actually struggled to track a lot of this stuff, but it's definitely a learning experience. But at the end of the day, revenues aren't coming in. Marketing could be one of the first to go. That's what accounting will look at. It's just kind of an unfortunate reality, but that could be the case. So you just have to always be moving. You always have to be on your feet, always evolving, because the pace of marketing is changing constantly. So that's something to keep in mind. But nothing but great experiences and wonderful times. I absolutely love my experiences because it helped me grow, helped me become the person I am today. And I highly recommend, if you're interested in marketing, that you talk to other marketing managers. Heck, talk to me if you want. But I really do think it's important to have this dialogue and figure out if it's the right thing for you. If not, try entrepreneurship, try marketing consulting, try marketing freelancing, see what interests you. There's a lot of different fields in marketing. I've been in every different field imaginable in marketing. I've done email marketing, I've done online marketing in terms of ads, I've done social media marketing, I've done the branding, I've done the websites, I've done every little piece imaginable. Very much familiar with it all. And if you're in a role as marketing manager where you have to be responsible for all this, it could be quite fun. Or you might be responsible for one particular thing. Figure out which sort of thing in marketing is your thing, and then make sure you're the best at it. That's definitely the way I would do it. But have fun at the end of the day, because life is short. Anyway, that's the day in the life of a marketing manager. Thanks for tuning in. Till next time, toodles.